Hey, good morning, everybody. Yesterday was kind of heavy, and so today we're going to lighten things up just a little bit. And in our mind shift, I'm going to teach you the secret to being right 100% of the time. And before you think that I've gone crazy, let me just say welcome to another installment of A Year of Thinking Magically. We invite you to join us on a thoughtful journey toward a process of reclaiming our personal power, creating a more magical, fulfilling, and healthy experience of life. For those who don't know me, I'm John Michael Salvato. I'm going to be your host, and we'll be with you every weekday, Monday through Friday, to share with you just one idea, one way in which I'm shifting my own personal mindset that day in the hopes that it inspires you maybe to find a way or place in which you can shift your own. More on that when we get back. And welcome back, and good morning, Angela and Joy. Let's go ahead and dive right in today. If you're watching and you agree that it sucks to be wrong, do me a favor in the comments below. Just drop "you got that right" in the comments so that folks can see that they are not alone when it comes to disliking being wrong. None of us really likes to be wrong. I mean, let's face it. If you're over the age of 3, chances are pretty good you've been wrong a few times in your life. And most of those times, you probably didn't like it. So I'm willing to bet that if you're still watching, you're figuring, yeah. And if you think today's mind shift is going to result in our being right 100% of the time, then this is either one of those times when you're going to be way wrong, or your weed guy just got much better kush. And let me tell you, one of those two things could be true. But here's the magic. You really can be right 100% of the time if you cultivate the courage and the commitment to admit when you're wrong. See, life doesn't ask that we carve our opinions in stone. I mean, that's my idea of why paper was invented. We can always turn the page or burn it or start anew or crumble it up. One of my mentors in business, Larry Thompson, taught me early on that I needed to adjust my mindset to remember that whenever anybody says something to me, it's 90% opinion and 10% fact. And that's because we speak from our perceptions, and our perceptions of fact are always interpreted through the lens of our experiences, our fears, and the mistakes that we've accidentally accepted to be truth. For example, this morning, somebody attempted the absurd and baseless argument that Wicca dates back to the Temple of Solomon. Now, despite the obviously glaring fact that we know that Wicca is a form of modern neo-paganism founded in the 20th century, that's a matter of history, that's classified as being a part of the occultist stream of Western esotericism. Its practices were outlined historically in the 40s and 50s, almost 3,000 years after the Temple of Solomon, I think. And in fact, Wicca cannot even remotely claim to be inspired by the teachings of Solomon or Solomonic magic, despite its founders liberally plagiarizing from some of the concepts of modern esotericism in their day, from a broken and incomplete understanding of modern occultist movements, I would say, that employ those traditions. So my friend demonstrated that sometimes our insecurity about the validity of our rights for our own spiritual practices to be included in society can lead us to make ridiculously false claims, or that sometimes we just get bad information and we just accept that bad information. We can turn on the news at night and see how accepting bad information was the foundation for a movement that resulted in the attempted coup that took place on January 6th that resulted in lost lives. So making ridiculous claims that often exceed the 90% opinion and 10% fact it is overall something that we all do in one way or another. So here's the mind shift for today. What if you and I asked ourselves, what if I got that wrong? I'll tell you guys, those 6 words are among the most powerful, magical, and transformative words I think I've ever spoken. They unlock the potential for unbelievable, unimaginable breakthroughs, understanding, and healing in our lives. In 1983, as many of you know, I was raped and beaten at gunpoint by 4 assailants from Haiti who fled their country and were living illegally in South Florida. Now, immediately following the rape, I interpreted what happened to me as being connected to the homophobic atmosphere of that area around the time. I was convinced that there was absolutely no reason to make that assumption, but that it had to be true. And I knew that many of the Haitian men and women that I had met who were part of that first group of boat people that came over, who were teaching me some of their spiritual practices of Haitian voodoo in Fort Lauderdale in the 80s, were indeed opposed to homosexuality. So I took it to mean that the reason I was raped and beaten and so savagely was because of homophobia. That the reason the gun was put to my head and the trigger was pulled when they were done, which thankfully appears to have misfired, was because they had an issue with my sexuality. But as time progressed over the next couple of months, I started to understand how ridiculous that assumption was. Those 4 men had no idea who I was or that I was gay. I didn't even see them before they jumped out from between a couple of buildings. And unless they had, Superman vision, they wouldn't have seen me from a block away where I started. So, and as soon as they jumped out of from behind those buildings or between those buildings, they started immediately punching me in my gut. And so there was no time to determine if I was gay or not. So my assumption was absurd. It was baseless. And it was only when I asked myself, what if I got that wrong? And I began to hear the words that they spoke in Creole in my mind, in my memory, as the trauma started to resolve a little bit, which was close enough to the French that I spoke. And I remember them saying, "Ou pral payer officier la police," which means you're going to pay, cop. You see, I was wearing a security guard's uniform the night that I was raped and beaten. And that's when it occurred to me, mostly through conversations with the ancestors and remembering that night, that these guys fled persecution. They fled persecution in Haiti, where they were unwanted, only to be oppressed and persecuted again in the land that they came to by the racist xenophobes, especially the cops in Hollywood, Florida, and Miami. They weren't attacking me because I was gay. They thought I was a cop. So the mind shift that we're challenged to make today is to be willing to ask ourselves, what if I got this wrong? Unlock the potential for new discoveries. Open the door to richer, deeper meaning and understanding. Understanding of the perspectives of those around us, understanding of what was really going on when we thought we had the answers, and allow space for us to hear the other person's story. And speaking of stories, I'm really pleased, as I said earlier this week, to announce that the faculty and members of the Inner Alchemy Mystery School and the Collective have generously offered to give those who want to explore what it is that we do at the Inner Alchemy Mystery School an opportunity to take a risk-free 7-day peek behind the curtain for a limited time. So just check out the link at the bottom of the screen here. Let's see if I get it right. If you'd like to learn more, this month's offerings include courses on folk magic, conjure, the 7 African powers, herbal plant magic, LGBTQ studies, Saxon magic, working with plant ancestors, hermetics, and of course, my year-long course on Italian witchcraft and folk magic, plus so much more. And it's all included in your membership. So you can take all of those classes, plus all of the classes that come in March and April and May and so on, without ever having to spend another dime. So we hope to see you there. Again, you can get there by going to the web address down below, inneralchemy.online/collective, and take your 7-day peek around and see if it's a good fit for you. I hope that these daily mind shift sessions are a good fit for you and inspiring for you and useful for you as well. And encourage you, as we do at the end of every one of these sessions, that you stay in the moment, that you be grateful for what you've got. Because if we can't be grateful for what we have, there's no reason to think we're going to be any happier with more. And always remember, my friends, that the best is yet to come. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we wrap up the week. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.